A guarantee that if you work with his agency, you're going to get 150 million real, quality, organic views on social media in 90 days. That's a pretty big guarantee. How the hell do you give a guarantee like that, Logan? Is AI overrated, underrated? What do you think about AI in kind of changing the consulting space? Is this something you've played with? At
the end of the day, what matters most is just good quality content. Do I think that the opportunity to build a brand is like, are you too late? Absolutely not. There's still massive opportunity. You can many times offer the best service for people, but if they don't want to help themselves, they're not going to get the results.
All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, we got Logan Forsyth in the building. Logan, what's up?
What's happening?
Logan,
Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Welcome to sunny South Florida from Cali. Logan is the co-founder and owner of mediascaling.com. And Logan, you've got an interesting guarantee, which I don't know if y'all have read Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers, but you've got a $100 million guarantee, almost literally. A guarantee that if you work with his agency, you're going to get 150 million real, quality, organic views on social media in 90 days. That's a pretty big guarantee. How the hell do you give a guarantee like that, Logan?
Yeah, so it's up to 150 million views. And then we have multiple tiers of packages we offer in terms of the deliverables. So it depends on the package size and the creator, but we'll run an auditing process, give them their exact guarantee. And it usually ranges between 30 million to 150 million views, 150 million being on the top line. We have gone even above that, sometimes up to 400 million views, depending on like the size of the brand creator. But how we do it is, one, it is for a specific person. So we work with long form creators who have minimum 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, 100 plus long form videos, and then earning a good size income to where, one, they can afford it, but two, they're better equipped to where they see a faster ROI with their service. And so if they check those boxes, generally they're a good fit for us to then go in. We'll plug in essentially a media division of editors, social media managers, team leader, copywriter, clips coordinator, data analyst, so on and so forth, repurpose their long form content into high volume of top quality short form clips. And then we just flood socials with it through a network of what we call satellite accounts. So it would be like Tony Robbins Reels, Tony Robbins clips, best of Tony Robbins, so on and so forth. We'll create these across Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat. And then that allows us to distribute all this high volume of content and post 1,800 to 4,200 times per month per client. And when we do that level of posting volume, a lot of the videos go viral, creates a huge amount of new reach and top of funnel awareness. And then we'll take all that and funnel it back to their main socials. They see hockey stick growth. Everyone's happy. And then we also really pull a lot of levers when it comes to conversion strategy as well, helping people better craft their offers. And at the end of the day, this needs to also have a profitable return to it for it to be essentially a flywheel and long-term, a great investment strategy for the creators and personal brands that we work with. So there's a lot of things that we can do to make this very profitable and help increase revenue significantly on the back end of all these views generated as well.
Dope. And you got to say, I think that's a great way to frame it because there's a few different pieces that I think we need to break down.
Sure.
Right. There's a few different pieces. And we're going to get to all of it in this episode, y'all, by the way. But I kind of want to start with the way that your business is structured.
Okay.
Because I think that's really interesting, right? You're in the 7-figure category, right? Your business doing 7 figures a year. Mine's in the 6-figure business. We're in similar businesses, right? I'm basically helping people turn their podcast into tons and tons of content, push it out everywhere. You're doing similar thing, but there's a difference in the way that we target. And one of the things I think that's interesting that you've done, Logan, is you have the qualifier. I don't have a qualifier. I'll take you from I've never turned on a camera before to pressing record. And it's a noble endeavor. It's very challenging. It's very challenging to basically assemble the vehicle. When you're already taking a car that's already proven beautiful running, you're adding gas. Did you start? Is that where you started? When you were building out your business model, is that where you started? Hey, we're going to help creators that are already kind of a proven thing and then just fuel the fire. Is that where you started?
Yeah. For media scaling, yes. We wanted to go after the top personal brands, podcasts, and creators. But I've been in now the digital marketing space, working with larger brands for coming up on 9 years, I believe. Okay. And it's been a process to where That used to not be the case. I used to also just take on working with anyone. But there's a lot of the time to where it needs to be a two-way dynamic, right? And you can many times offer the best service for people, but if they don't want to help themselves, they're not going to get the results. And then it's not going to turn into the ideal outcome that either of you want. So I found it incredibly important to get more and more specific there's a term ICP, ideal client profile. And then there's even a ranking system to it of having an ICP 1, ICP 2, ICP 3, with ICP 1 being like the ideal perfect client. And the more specific you can get of the criteria or the boxes that you look for to check to match that ICP 1 you work with, where it's like, hey, if someone looks like this in this client profile, I know I can absolutely crush it with them. Results are going to be great. They're going to make a bunch of money. We're all going to do well. Retention is going to be there. The more specific you can get on that, the more successful you're going to be, I've learned. And also when you have the specifics of that criteria and then you market it everywhere. So you talk about it in your content, you put it in the website, the marketing materials, etc. What it does is it attracts those people. Otherwise, when you don't have that specific criteria and you have marketing that kind of speaks to everyone, then it doesn't attract the vets who you really want. And it brings in just other people all across the sun, right? And even when you have the top level criteria, like with us, 300,000 subscribers, 100 plus long form videos, et cetera, we still have a lot of people who don't fit that criteria still come to us and apply to us because they aspire to get there, right? And so not only does it attract the vets when you have that specific criteria marketed, but it still brings people who are maybe not at that qualification level to your business. And then you have a stronger positioning in the marketplace because they see you work with these bigger people that they aspire to get to. So if you still have an offer that can serve them, then it still checks those boxes and there's congruency there as well.
Dig that. So, and do you have like a drop down offer for people that maybe haven't hit that criteria if you're done for you at, 300K subs, et cetera? I'll just watch. It's funny you talk about this because I was just watching a Hormozy video as I was going on my run. He said, well, you got your drop down offer. So if they're not ideal candidate, well, you have offer B, offer 2, as you say, ICP 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of like you and Hormozy have got like a brain meld going on here, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've learned a lot from Hormozy. And yes, we do. So if our core offer, every business needs a core offer. And so that's what's really focused on in the front end with all of your marketing, what you put out there, what you're known for.
Probably your high ticket offer is the core offer, would you say?
It can really vary depending on the business, right? Like there's a lot of businesses out there who they even have like a loss leader for their core front end offers in the sense that they lose money on the offer, but they know that that's what they can put out there to then acquire customers and then upsell them on the back end where they jump into profits. So it kind of depends on the business model, but overall, like our core offer is the large 150 million 90-day view guarantee satellite accounts. But we do offer deliverables at a lower level for people who may not be there yet, but they still do need to check boxes. Like we offer services to where before we create 20 to 100 additional accounts, we can still drive significant results if the person has the right fit for just managing their main socials first. When it comes to posting content on socials, a lot of people are posting once per day or less of short form content specifically across the platforms I listed: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. And we consistently see best results posting between 2 to 6 times per day per account across platforms. So the minimum that we want to have people at is 2 posts per day across platforms. Most people aren't even there yet. So we can help drive a lot of results just by doing that. Plus, most people also are not posting omnipresent across platforms. Maybe they only post on Instagram or on Instagram and TikTok, but they're not posting on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, and Facebook. And so we want to get them omnipresent across the board as well. And then maybe their offer isn't fully optimized. And so we can help them optimize their offer, drive more conversions, make more money. Putting all that into place will then get them to where they're on a growth path where maybe the next 3 to 6 months, they will be at the fit to where they're now going to send up and do the full satellite account network and really upsell into our higher tier offers, right? So yes, we do have those downsells to work with. And then people who don't even have an established following yet, we offer consulting services as well. We'll take them on as private consulting clients to help them. Really, it's more of a done with you approach to give them guidance of how to do this and recruitment systems of how to hire an internal team, get the best value for their buck, and become omnipresent, post 2 to 4 times per day across platforms with only spending 3 to 6 hours per month filming content, not needing to live behind the camera. So those are 3 tiers.
You're talking 2 to 6 posts daily across every platform on multiple accounts, right? So you have kind of like you mentioned, Tony Robbins A, Tony Robbins B, Tony Robbins C. You'll have like 5 accounts on Instagram, 5 accounts on LinkedIn, 5 accounts on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I definitely want to talk about the scalability of that. But I also just got to say, like, I'm kind of AI obsessed right now, not because it's a hot keyword, but because AI empowered me to leave my day job and really go all in on this marketing agency. And one of the things that is really hard to scale is time. There's only one Logan. There's only one Mark, right? But when I start to think about offer, A, B, C, D, and if someone can't afford, $2,000 for you to do one-on-one consulting, well, guess what? I've done this 100 times. I've programmed these AI programs, and if you are able to answer these questions accurately, it'll kind of like move you through the systems. And I got to say, I've been absolutely shocked with how good these softwares can be. And I'll just give you an example. I've been posting about this on YouTube, just like blowing my mind, bro. I'll give you an example. If someone is able to like fill out a form with answers about like, who do you serve? What business are you in? What makes you unique? Et cetera, et cetera. All that information can flow into a program like ChatGPT 4 Turbo, right? And ChatGPT 4 Turbo, based on how well you've prompted it, you put in a nice mega prompt, you tell exactly what to do, what to recommend, it'll spit out like standard operating procedures, SWOT analysis. You see all these books here. It'll give you like a marketing plan based on Donald Miller's story brand. It can do all these action steps that they can take. And I'll give you another example. I did this for a client I was doing some videography work with. She input all the information on her business. ChatGPT wrote up the script for all the videos that we were going to shoot. It gave her ideas for 20 more videos that she could also shoot. So, what are your thoughts on that? Is AI overrated, underrated? What do you think about AI in kind of changing the consulting space? If this is something you've played with?
You are using it to a higher extent than I am. I will preface that. I think that it's definitely not underrated, but there is a quote, maybe it was from Elon Musk or someone else, that people overestimate what AI can do in 1 year from now, but underestimate what it can do in 3 years from now. And so I think across the board, because I have used a lot of AI softwares and tools, and we still do our best to stay on the forefront of it and want to use it to really stay at the front. And in my experience, most of them have a good way to go before it's just going to completely take over the need for a human involvement with it. And so I think AI, as of today, in like about halfway through 2024, is an amazing creative tool. To your point, it can write scripts for you. It can give you ideas and SOPs. But in my experience, it's almost never 100% completed with what it gives you. However, it gives you a really great starting point. And then based on your human expertise and experience, you can go in and make it even better and improve upon that. So it's kind of like a standpoint of, let's say that writer's block, right? You're not having any ideas come. Like ChatGPT, other AI softwares are amazing at spawning those ideas that can very quickly get you into the creative process and produce great results. So we use ChatGPT and different AI prompts a lot when it comes to video ideas and hooks and copy, helping to put together frameworks, even searching different concepts. Like it's replaced Google in a lot of ways. But it's never a copy and paste thing. It's like, all right, ChatGPT says this, or this AI software says this. Let's go off of that basis and now add my own spin on it and make it even better.
Well, and I'm kind of in the same place. It makes beginners highly competent, and it makes experts killers. They're just like crushing it because you can implement, not only the automation and the AI itself, but you add your critical thinking and your expertise on top of it to produce rigorous, which by the way is important. I got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. Critical thinking is important because I don't know if you saw this Google Gemini. Google's been kind of like switching up the way that they handle search, and now it's giving like AI results, and it's like, it's
really cool. Yeah, I like it.
It's cool, but it gives you some crazy stuff. There was someone that went on and said, "Hey, the cheese isn't sticking to my pizza. What can I do?" It's like, have you considered adding glue? It's like if you add a little bit of glue. There was another thing where I can't remember what someone was like, "I don't have money to buy this particular product for dinner." It's like, well, have you tried eating rocks? So it's like taking these random trolls off of Reddit and like bringing them to the forefront of the most sophisticated search engine in the history of mankind. So anyway, do your research. This will be your little do your research.
Yeah, I think it comes back to like what I mentioned earlier, right? Like AI across the board still has a way to go before it just is better than humans. It will get there. It absolutely will. But it's not there yet today. And ChatGPT aside, like we've tested other AI softwares for like editing, for example. The leading one that I'm aware of is called Opus Clips, and it has a big USP pitch of, hey, you can upload your long form content. Opus AI will automatically clip it up, take out the best short form videos and make edits out of it. And it's like nowhere near, I mean, if we're going to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at like a 3 versus a really great, highly trained, experienced editor in terms of getting that content. A lot of the clips that it chooses, just not great clips, but there are like editing softwares, Adobe Premiere Pro, CapCut, etc., have a lot of AI enhancement tools that an editor with human involvement can use to improve their edits and also increase efficiency, which is overall a great thing. So in terms of AI deployment, it comes back to like everything that we're using it for in the company, it involves human interaction. There's a lot we've done to automate with like integrations, et cetera, but that's nothing new. That's been around for a long time, Yeah. So,
well, and one of the things I like about a program like Opus Clips is it can give you 20 clips to work off of. You pick your first 5, and then you're not starting from a blank slate. You can actually go and say, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to add the B-roll. I'm going to add some captions. I'm going to add some pattern interrupts to make it more engaging. Because you're right. The fact is that Opus Clips and AI have made it so easy to create content that everyone's doing, and everyone's just pumping out content. But you got to have some juice on it. You got to put some salt. You got to we're in South Florida, so you put a little salsa on it. You know what I mean? You got to put a little bit of spice on your clips. Speaking of which, you also mentioned something the other day, and this is something that made me think. We use a lot of B-roll in our videos. I think it's important that you use B-roll in your videos, but you're saying, you can't just use stock footage. You need to go a next level. So what are you seeing? What is working to actually create great B-roll?
Yeah. So we're against using stock footage for B-roll. Instead, we use movie scenes, celebrities, and then also B-roll that is relating to the client themselves. And it performs so much better versus the stock. Stock, it looks average. It looks kind of cheap. It looks like everyone else. A lot of the stock footage that you see in content has been reused over and over and over, to where it makes you not stand out amongst the crowd at all. It's just not really effective, and it doesn't look premium, which is what you want for your brand, right? So there are really great softwares out there like yarn.co. Another one is playphrase.me, to where you can search any keyword for like context of what's being talked about or happening in a video. And then it'll pull up any movie scenes from a huge library of a clip from that movie scene that matches what's being talked about. So it's still congruent with the video. And then again, it's highly efficient of an editor being able to use that for B-roll versus stock footage, right? So we do that. And then with our clients as well, we have them do what we call a camera roll dump, but they'll just go through, we work with larger brands to where they have, videographers on staff, and they'll already have a big library of a bunch of B-roll that they filmed, et cetera. And so they'll send that over to us. But in addition, we want them to do a camera roll dump to where they go through their Photos app on their phone and then create a shared album with us of any and all content they're willing to share of them with friends, travel, family, working, hobbies, so on and so forth. And the experience that creates is anytime a client has done that for us and I look through their shared photo album, I feel like I get to know them on a more personal level. I'm like, this is like they're with their family here and they're on this vacation, and this is like a behind the scenes clip, et cetera. And when we use that as B-roll in the content, it does the same thing with the viewer. which is where the viewer feels like they get to know them on a more personal level. And it keeps it on brand because it's actual B-roll from the client themselves or the brand themselves versus stock footage, right? So those are the main levers that we pull to use for B-roll. And I will say, like, we have content that performs really well with no B-roll as well. So it's not necessarily a requirement. At the end of the day, what matters most is just good quality content. And there's a lot of levers that you can pull on the editing side to make that more effective, such as jump cuts. You want the pacing to be right, like cutting out uhs, ahs, ams, fillers, having more visual engagement. You can do zoom effects and you can do head tracking to where it's moving. We've seen better results of having less words on screen at a time for captions. So we'll only use 1 to 4 words per screen on a time versus having like 7 to 8 words, because it has a lot more visual effects of the captions consistently coming up on the screen versus when it's a bunch of words at a time, people kind of like read ahead and they kind of tune out a little bit more. So all these things you can do to pull. But when it comes to B-roll, it can sometimes hurt more than help if it's not done right. So your editor just needs to be trained on, like, you need to choose the right B-roll. Don't overdo it. Like, make sure it looks clean. It's on brand. If you have a serious brand, don't be using like cartoon movie scene B-roll, right? And the same thing with music as well. I see a lot of people mess up the branding side of their editing with music. So where, let's say, and a recent example is a consulting client showed me an account they're running with, and the client he was a dad and his brand was built around like parenting and becoming a more effective parent. And then the music that was being used was kind of like this more aggressive, like trending sounds that it's more like the red pill community. It's like kids, not kids, but like more guys like 18 to 24 range, like listen to that soundtrack. I'm like, this is incongruent branding. Like, this music does not match his brand. Like, let's fix that as well. And so it's very important just understanding the brand for your own self. And then if you have an agency or clients as well, and making sure everything matches. Like, brand is like every sensory input, the visuals, the audio, like what's being shown on screen, any associations, all that plays into it. So I really bring it up and emphasize this point because I do see a lot of people actually hurt more than help with B-roll and with music specifically when it's not done correctly.
Logan, you just like dropped so many different fact points. I'm gonna have to put all the descriptions, transcripts below because I'm taking tons of notes here. I know at home you're running or you're doing the dishes or your kids are jumping over you, and yeah, you're gonna want that, especially the yarn.co, the play phrase. We're gonna level up we are leveling up our videos over here. By the way, I had to ask. You said you do this camera roll dump idea, which I think is brilliant. Did you ever get any like not safe for work photos, or people like sending you like nudes and stuff like that? Like, whoa, how did that slip in there? Has that happened?
I mean, we have like someone that we've worked with, Michael Sartain. He helps men like just become more high status. And a lot of that deals with women as well. And he just like does bikini contests and stuff. He's a stud. So he had a lot of no like fully nude, but we preface, like, it's not like they're sending us their entire photo app. They create a shared album and then they'll go through it themselves and choose like what they want to share, what they don't want to share, So
long story short, yes, it happens all the time. I'll fill that in there. So the other thing that you do that I think is interesting, and I kind of want to talk, I want to talk about this. Actually, let me go here. One of the important things, one of the reasons I like having you on is you're producing just hundreds of thousands, millions of pieces of content. How many pieces of content have you produced now?
Not millions. We're currently posting over 26,000 pieces of content per month. In terms of total, I believe we're over 300,000 total pieces posted at this point.
All right, so some light work, just 300,000 pieces of content. And what's I think really important about this is one of the reasons I follow Neil Patel, by the way, is you get a lot of data. The more you do, the more you create, the more data you get. And the more data you get, the better you can, the better you can perform. How are you actually managing all the data? What is your process there? Because I was listening to another podcast that you were on, and you're talking about you post natively to each app. And you're posting over 20, 30 different accounts natively on each app. How are you managing all that data input coming in? What's your process?
Yeah, so we have a full division of data analysts, and I think we have 6 on the team at this point. And internally, we have a software engineer who built an API scraper for us. So the API scraper will then scrape all the data across each social platform and then integrates it with Google Sheets. So it pulls all the views, the follower growth, et cetera, from this full process. And then we have this high level Google Sheet that we call our tracker we create with each client. So it shows every account that we create and manage across all the platforms, the total views per account, views per platform, the amount of posts that have gone up, the follower and subscriber growth across the accounts. It totalizes everything. So it shows all the data like a very high level view. So long story short, it's done through the API scrapers. I know nothing about it. I just know that we have an amazing team who's built out the awesome process, and it works pretty efficiently.
You built out SaaS, and quite frankly, you could probably sell the SaaS product as another offering. Yeah, but I'm sure you're thinking it. I think that's one of the best ways to create a business is you solve the problems that you have, and then you just sell the solution to others, right? I mean, that's how I got started. People saw me that I was creating all these podcasts. They're like, "Can you do it for me?" Sure. And that's, I'm iterating more into like marketing and AI and automations to solve my own business problems. Then I just sell the solutions, right? So
yeah, I mean, it comes down to opportunity cost, right? Like there's a million things that you could do at any moment. But when it comes to SaaS and software, if you build it out internally, that can really spike the value of your company as well. If you ever wanted to exit or sell, even if you didn't have that software to, let's say, selling to the marketplace, it's just only internally, you can get a big multiple on softwares that really boost the value of the overall company. So there's still, regardless of if not you sold that on the front end, there's still a lot of value in it.
Definitely thinking ahead. You also had mentioned organizational structure. You're not a one name. Could you mentioned you've got 6 data analysts. Could you just tell me a little bit about your organizational structure and how you've set up your company?
Yes. So last I checked, we're at 114 people, and we're 16 months in with the company, I believe, coming up on a year and a half. In terms of the full org chart, at the top, it's myself, and then I have my partner, Spencer Murphy. And then we have our full team of directors. So we have director of operations, director of marketing, director of sales, director of client services, and director of HR. And they have all their direct reports beneath as well. And so that's really like the upper management tier of the company that runs everything at a higher level. And then in terms of like direct client fulfillment, on the fulfillment side, we have, for every client, they have a team leader, and then there are one or multiple social media managers. The biggest team is editors. There's a lot of editors that do all the videos that we post out. Data analysts to track everything. Copywriters to write the captions, thumbnail designers, clips coordinators is another division to where we have people full-time. They go through our client's content library and then turn it into a full organized sheet, and they'll timestamp all the long form videos for clippable moments that our editors can then go through, and it just improves their efficiency. They can faster go in and just take out this quick clip, make their edit, work their magic. And that should be it. Then we have, sales reps as well on that side.
How do you screen and hire for your upper management? What do you look for?
For upper management, so it depends on the role, right? Different roles require different characteristics and skill sets. But overall, hiring is extremely high leverage. I think it's something that earlier on in business, most people don't put nearly enough focus towards and improvement on. But it all starts like the hiring internal team members is just like an external sales process. Like you still write a job post, which is the ad, and you still post it on a platform and run the ad, just like with a Facebook ad. You post it on Indeed or Monster or LinkedIn. And then you have the sales process, i.e. the interviews as well. It goes both ways, right? Especially when you're talking to higher qualified candidates. And so you need to treat it accordingly. And you need to, the first step is the job ad. You need to write really compelling copy that's going to be, I would say, polarizing to a extent to where you want it to push away the people who you don't want, and you want it to really gravitate the people who are the A players who you want on your team. So the ways that we do that in our job ads is we really focus on the company mission, right? At the start. And the company mission is to work with the world's top experts and entertainers, getting their content in front of as many people as possible, with the core belief it's one of the greatest ways to create lasting positive impact. When you have higher talent candidates, what I've learned is they put more emphasis on impact and purpose versus pay. Like obviously they want pay, they want growth, but they also want to have that impact side as well. So we focus a lot of that. In the job post ad, we talk about how we're the number one leading agency in the creator growth space. And we have massive goals to continue to just take over market share, work with enterprise clients. Like we're going to take this to a level to where we're working with Disney and Fox Studios and NBA and UFC for like major enterprise deals and like really take over media, like this, we barely scratched the surface. And so we talk about that in our ads and like show that huge vision, growth potential, and people get excited seeing that. We talk about our core values as well. And then I mentioned, these are questions that I ask in the interviews. And it's also mentioned in the job post. It's like, hey, we're looking for people who are willing to work longer hours, weekends when necessary. They operate with urgency. And depending on the position, like higher level are more comfortable operating autonomously. And we're saying that. So people who don't want to work longer hours, they're not super self-efficient. They don't operate with urgency. They're not very communicative. They're not going to apply for that job post. And then other people who are hard workers, and they're just like, yeah, I love to work, which is who we want on the team. They're like, man, this is for me. One of our core values is greatness. And we really focus on that. It's like, we have a culture of greatness. Like we don't settle for good, we go for great. And if you don't have that mindset, you're not going to enjoy working here. It's not going to be a fit for you. But if you do, and you meet that standard, you're going to love it. Like you're going to eat, sleep, and breathe it and love being a part of the culture. So we really focus on all that through the process, and it really helps to gravitate those stronger candidates. And then for every single role, we have assessments that we have people complete. If it's a skills-based role in terms of, let's say, editing, we have them create multiple sample edits and do so in a shorter time frame to where we know they operate with urgency, right? We'll give them like a 4-hour window, wherever the case. We're like having them send it over fast. If it is for copywriters, we have them send over a bunch of caption examples. Oh, another position I forgot is virality engineers is what we call them. Oh, cool. They full-time just review all the content we create because we're creating hundreds and hundreds of videos per day across the board. So we have a full division of virality engineers as well. All they do is QA, quality assure the content. So like our virality engineers, we give them a sheet of 10 videos and we say, hey, review these videos. And we're looking for people to do more than just spelling mistakes, right? Like we want them to actually understand psychology and the fundamentals and pacing. And then for the higher level positions, it depends on their role as well. I like to have people put together game plans. So like our marketing director, they put together a 90-day game plan of what they would do to really scale the company coming in within the first 90 days. Same thing with director of ops, same thing with the other director roles. And then now that we have a larger team as well, we have a multi-interview process. So our director of HR, she starts with everything. She screens the applicants. She's the first interview. And then, she's cutting 80% of it right there. But then she'll push forward the candidates that have more potential. And then depending on the role, we usually have a set of 3 to 4 interviews total. And then depending on the role, we'll have our set team members who conduct those interviews. Myself and my partner, we're usually not even on until the last one. So at this point, like we don't even interview with candidates until they're like highly vetted, highly qualified, and don't deal with that screening process anymore on the front end. And we will, if they're putting together, let's say a 90-day game plan or any other type of presentation, we'll have a group interview with them to where they have to present it to us. And then a lot of the time, what I want to do is I want to see their presentation and communication skills. If they have a director role, like communication is important. Same thing with our team leaders, they're client facing. They need to be strong communicators. Like we have presentations that they follow on their monthly check-in calls. Like everything is dialed to where they need to have that. So we have them present as part of the interview process, and then when they're doing that as well, I like to poke holes and be like, yeah, what about this? And like, yes, I saw this, but I don't see, like, I think this is missing, so on and so forth, and like give feedback. And a lot of time you also want to see like, how are people coachable as well? Some people don't want to take the feedback and they kind of get defensive on it. And that's a red flag for me. It's like, no go. Other people are like very receptive, coachable, open. And so those are components I look for. We also ask situational based questions based on our core values. So like integrity is one of our core values. And the question I ask is, can you tell me about a time that you did something very hard, even though you felt it was the right thing, whether or not it was work or anything else? And some people, if they don't really have like a strong answer to that question, then maybe it has more of a question mark in terms of integrity, versus other people will tell you things that they did from an ethical standpoint that was maybe hard, and had negative repercussions in the back end, but they did so because of their integrity, So you can do that with greatness. You can like our core values are greatness, integrity, and creativity. So we have situational based questions based on those values. And then overall, I need to feel excited about the candidate when extending the offer. I've learned in my experience, anytime we've hired someone and it's like, yeah, like they were good, and then we're like, maybe we should talk to other candidates or whatever. We end up hiring them. It almost never works out, versus other times when everyone's excited, I'm like, yeah, let's just I don't even care. Like, let's just extend them the offer. Those tend to always be the strong candidates as well. So all of that goes in line. And then even before they get started, we'll send them over pre-training materials. And I want to see speed, responsiveness. I want to see them like on top of the ball. We have homework for them to do before their official start date. If they're not doing that, it's a yellow flag, red flag, it kind of gets my attention more. And then the onboarding, like training process, depending on the role, that can go 2 to 4 weeks, even 3 months up to, depending on the tier of it. If they don't gonna do a good job on that, like we kind of frame it as more of a trial period, and they have to earn that position and really prove themselves to have the solid footing there. So when it comes to that initial start in the training phase, like we want to see fast progress. We want to see strong coachability. And if you don't have that, it's like, hire slow, fire fast mentality.
I like that. I mean, you broke down. I feel like this is an Alex Hormozy video. I'm going to talk to my editors and just put like a whiteboard up here. So it's just like breaking it all down. At this most simple level though, that trust your gut is it really hits home, because sometimes I'll be like, I'm on the fence, and you're right. It never really like hits. There's got to be a little bit of excitement there. I also, you brought a lot of, what I can really respect and appreciate, like when looking at where your agency is versus mine, is all these systems that are in place. Systematized. You got to do this in order to even get to this point. And then when you're there, then you have to go through this system. And I really feel like that's the difference in getting over that hump, just by looking at it. I do want to share something though, that I think is I'm an AI guy. That's kind of where my head's at. One of the problems that I've had is, if I put up a job listing on a job board, this might not apply so much to like the upper management, but for all of your team members, is you'll get like 100, 200, 500 responses, right? And then that becomes a second job. You or your HR has to go through all that. So one of the ways I solved that problem was I set up an automation where I said, hey, if you're interested, fill out a form, fill out a job application form. And then that job, based on the answer to that job application form, it sends it over to ChatGPT. This is all automated to analyze. And then all those answers are sent over to a spreadsheet to review. And it gives each applicant a rating based on 1 to 10. In anyone that's below a 7, I don't even look at. And that weeds out like 60 to 70% of the applicants right away. And it just like at that starting point, now I'm not starting out at 100 applicants. I'm starting out at 15 or 20. And then, okay, you've made it through that level. Now you can go to the next level. And so anyway, that was kind of an interesting thing that I worked on, and I've used it in hiring just over the past few days. And I was pretty impressed with the result. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I like it a lot. I think that is a lot more forward tech focus than what we do. Again, it depends on the role, but we'll always have someone do like some type of mini assessment step before we even schedule the interview.
Right.
So like if it's a very communication focused role, like a team leader or a sales rep, we have them submit like a quick, just 1 minute video of them explaining like, why are they a good fit for the role? If they don't do that, we don't even move forward with the conversation, or other candidates, we can have them do just like a quick, we don't want them to do anything like overly assessment, because again, you have to look at it like a sales process. And it's like, if this is a great candidate, why would you expect them to put in all this time and effort before they've even spoken with you and truly understand whether or not your company is a good fit for them, right? And so you can't expect too much from a candidate at that early start point. But I really like that system you put into play. I wonder, like, have you looked into the components of the applicants that are under a 7 and been like, well, maybe this person actually could be a good fit? Or is it like pretty much if they're below a 7, it's a hard rule? And
well, obviously we can always tweak mega prompts, but what it'll do is it'll say applicant does not qualify, and then it'll give a reason. Maybe they don't pay attention to detail, or maybe the grammar is not good, or maybe their answer to the integrity question was weak, or it kind of depends. But then you can say, oh well, they flubbed up this. That's not super relevant, and you could either tweak the prompt or revisit them. But again, if you're getting 100 requests, like, I feel like out of the top 20%, you'd probably get a pretty good read. But also, by the way, they're still, because they fill out the form, they're still in your system. So we can still retarget, maybe they don't make it this time, but we can retarget them in the future. Say, hey, Jim, job just opened up. Feel free to fill out this request form. Maybe they do better the second time around, right? You can also automate the response back to them too. Say, hey, thanks for applying. Didn't qualify this time. We'll reach. Actually, I'm going to put that on my to-do list. That's something I need to do because there are a bunch of people that didn't make the cut. But anyway, I think that's an interesting way. And then, we start thinking about speed, because in our industry, speed kills. Very, very important. I definitely had some frustrated clients when it takes too long to turn around work. I'm just kind of brainstorming here and thinking out loud, but like maybe there's an AI chat bot that when someone fills something out, you send them a chat response and say, hey, I saw see how quickly they respond to a message, just try to get them through like the technical part before it starts to take up, the hiring process and in our brain power, So I'm just kind of thinking out loud there. Because I do think, like you said, that hiring is, and Hormozy talks about, hiring is like the arbitrage, right? Hiring the right people. All right, one more quick thing here before I let you go on hooks, because again, you're going through tons and tons of data. You're looking at all these different things. What do you think is important for a good social media hook?
Hooks can be visual. They can be auditory. Like it's not always just what's being said. A lot of people in our space, like business owners and digital marketing, think it's always got to be like 3 ways to accomplish XYZ desired outcome, but hooks can also be visual of like what's actually happening in the first 3 seconds of that piece of content. And then also, to preface, a hook, the length of the hook depends on the length of the video. So if it's a long form video, let's say 60 minutes, I would consider the hook the first minute and a half, versus a short form video at 60 seconds. I would consider the hook the first 3 to 5 seconds, right? Because if it's a 60-minute video, people are willing to watch a little bit more before they fully commit to watching that entire video, right?
If they recognize the person, though, right?
If they recognize the person. But like for the most effective content on socials, you want to create it for people who follow you, but you also want to create it for people who don't. Right. And so it needs to have that blend, right? That's why, like Hormozy, in all of his videos at the very start, he introduces himself. I'm Hormozy. I sold gym launch for 46 million in XYZ portfolio companies. Like he says that at the start of every single video, because he understands that, yes, there is a good portion of people who follow him. They recognize him. They know who he is, but there's also a good portion of people on that video who's never seen him before. So they don't know anything about him. And I think it's a trap that a lot of creators and brands fall into, of just assuming that everyone knows you and you're only creating content for your audience. But it's like, no, but even for your audience, maybe you talked about this credential 10 videos ago or 6 months ago. It's like assuming that every single person who follows you watches every single video is just not correct, right? And so
the problem is that's boring for a hook to say, hey, by the way, I'm Mark. Thanks for watching. This channel is here. Make sure you like and subscribe. And all of a sudden someone's like, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to know like how to go viral, or I signed up to, implement an AI chatbot or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So sorry, I got a little derailed on the hook question. Specifically, like doing your intro, you don't want it to even be like and subscribe, et cetera, but just showcase your credentials, your authority, like why people should watch. This is for the business space. For like creators, vloggers, influencers, it's a little bit different. You don't need to be as credentials based. They're more so there for entertainment or whatever the niche is. However, going back to the hook, like it really, the entire goal of a hook and what makes an effective hook is to where it captivates the viewer to want to keep watching. That's really it. And so there's no magic formula, or there's no like this hook wins every time. We have a free resource that everyone can go to. It's mediascaling.com/Mark. We'll create a link for your viewers. And it has hundreds of viral hook frameworks that we've put together, in addition to a lot of other resources that is very good. We put a lot of free value into it. It's a free course, but there's hundreds of hook frameworks. They can all work, right? And so really it just comes down to creating enough curiosity for people to want to keep watching. And then you have to retain that viewership as well. And I would say arguably one of the more important, if not the most important metrics that each platform looks at in terms of pushing a video and it getting more reach is watch time, is retention time, total watch time. So if you have a video to where the hook engages them, intrigues them, so they want to watch more, and then the retention is strong enough and it's captivating enough to where they keep watching, and then you make it so good that they watch it a second and then a third time, and then they share it with their friend, that's a viral post. Right. And so you have to make it that good. And to your point, like AI is getting more accessible. A bunch of people are signing up for things like Opus clips, to where like the amount of content being posted on socials is not decreasing. It's only increasing at an accelerated rate. Like the saturation continues to grow. So it's become an environment to where more and more, like you just have to be better. Like that's really what it comes down to. And do I think that the opportunity to build a brand is like, are you too late? Absolutely not. Like it's like there's still massive opportunity. And people are going to be starting their brands in 2040 probably, and still talking about, oh, I don't know, I missed it. Like all these people who started in 2024, like, so get started today. But you have to do things that set you apart, and don't expect top level results if you're taking shortcuts and just using like Opus clips, or just putting minimal effort into your edits and doing it kind of like on the side or secondary fact. Like you have to really put in effort and time and make good quality content for people to want to watch and view.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and it's meritocracy, right? The cream will rise to the top. And I think I've heard you talk about this. I think it might be one of the more powerful times to start creating content, because it's not subscriber based. It's how does someone click on it? How long do they watch? Do they get shared? And that's, like you said, how you go viral. You don't go viral because you have 1 million followers, although that doesn't hurt. You go viral because it's really interesting, or it's funny, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, y'all, we've been talking to Logan Forsyth here from mediascaling.com. He's the man, y'all. You heard it. The data, the knowledge, the system. Thanks for being so forthright and helping us grow a killer business, bro.
Of course. Yeah. I appreciate you having me on the show, Mark. It's been a pleasure, and hope everyone got value. And if you want to check out more socials, Logan Forsyth across platforms. I don't hold back. I operate under the concept, like give away the farm, sell the implementation. So I don't hold back any secrets. I share it all in the content. And then for people who are qualified for the ICP1, we're happy to talk.
Yeah. Love that. And this guy is going somewhere. I'm telling y'all. So connect now, because in a few years, it's going to be really hard to get connected with him. So connect now, y'all. Plus, he's getting married, so he's going to be even much more difficult to connect with after that. So, Logan, thank you, brother.
Thank you.